run that. I could see them running something like Ellie Mage though, because that looked super scary yesterday. They could also do some kind of they could run TSG or like a melee cleave, maybe with a Frost DK. If they want to get the head that way as well. Or they could do Boomkin Ellie with a Holy Paladin. Looks pretty good too.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Wildcard Gaming. Here it is. Ellie Boomkin Paladin. This is kind of a pocket pick for them against Cleaves. So, I mean, I could definitely see this working out. They've had great success with it in the past. For Coffin Dance, though, this composition, I think this is nice. So we're going to finally see Rezus and Tren together in this matchup. The Windwalker Demon Hunter. And let's see if they can pull it off. I mean, both the Windwalker and the Demon Hunter are going to be able to provide a lot of magic damage. So, you know, the inherent tankiness of Zeepai and Maro with that really heavy armor. And we could see Rezus and Tren actually just penetrate through and really cause some pressure here on the Wildcard Gaming.
I feel like with the versatility reductions, Bouncer and Elemental Shaman are going to be a lot easier to kill. Also, the leg sweep, basically Rezus' damage during leg sweep got increased by 50% because Conflict is no longer fully being applied to it. I'm interested to see how they play this matchup. They're running the Mana Rift strategy, so they're looking to burn out Looney's mana pool for a late game kill just on pressure. Early game, it looks like they're focusing on Zeepai in terms of damage, stunning him up. But with Thorns activated, they could take a lot of damage choosing to attack into it onto Zeepai. Rezus is trying to switch targets, doesn't want to attack into the Thorns, trying to get after Maro, but he's making it difficult, bouncing his way over to the outskirts of the map. Tren jumping over for another Mana Rift. Looney breaking out of that one once again to dodge the purple circle on the ground and avoid having his mana shredded away. If Tren and Rezus don't start taking some burst damage soon, I feel like their comp is going to win the late game. Here, finally, Lightning Lasso with a Cyclone. Good setup, and that gets them Gladiator's Medallion from Tren.
Ooh, Tren definitely going to be in a little bit of trouble here. Looney getting caught into a stun. They're really putting on the pressure. And Rezus is going to be playing full versatility, so just super tanky in this matchup. He's got the lingering Psychic Shell as well, but there's been good pressure for both sides. Lone Targeted Mana is doing quite well. Looney actually a little bit behind, a minute in, already burning through about 20% of his mana. And that could be, you know, a serious consideration here for Coffin Dance, getting these mana rifts consistently onto Looney. I could see Coffin Dance pull ahead and just mana and potentially actually close out the game with Looney being completely
It's so weird. I thought that the Boomkin and the Ellie would be wearing Verse gear, but they're wearing Gushing Wounds. It's doing a ton of pressure here. 2 targets low, a full Cyclone. This could be it. Spirit Link misses. Lone Tar whiffing the Spirit Link Totem, a very important defensive cooldown, blown out of the way from the lineup of Coffin Dance, and these solar beams every minute are going to be devastating if they cross crowd control Rezus with that Hammer of Justice. This is looking good for Wildcard Gaming. A full Hex slips through, unfortunately breaking early. That could have been the end of Tren here and now if it had not broken out. Coffin Dance looking to try and get their composure. They are running full versatility. The builds are almost flipped the way that I would have thought they would be. I would imagine the Wizard Cleave wants to be full versatility, drag the game on, but no, Coffin Dance want to be as durable as possible and land these mana rifts and try and win by running Looney out of mana. I would like to see Tren run away right now, literally right now, before they engage crowd control. 3 seconds until that solar beam is up. Tren uses Metamorphosis to jump on Looney. He needs to be careful. They're getting ready to set up here. Solar beam available. Looney gets imprisoned for a moment. Pressure on Zeepai. Some signs of life here from Coffin Dance, but that solar beam is still a threat. 7 seconds away from Incarnation. Mara waits to line that up. Looney rolls in for a stun, gets intercepted though by Tren. Everyone on Wildcard Gaming stunned up moments before they're going to make their push. They're trying to recover. Looney is struggling. Lightning Lasso, Hammer of Justice, but not fast enough. They stop the Lightning Lasso. Looney is in trouble. He gets reversed on his Hammer of Justice, and things are starting to fall apart for Wildcard Gaming. Their entire health pool's down at half, the mana at 30%, and suddenly the lead that they were building has been lost.
Yeah, Rezus under a little bit of pressure with the lingering Psychic Shell. He's actually pushing forward with the Touch of Death. They're going after Looney, looking for that Blessing of Protection. They might be able to just take him down here if he's not careful. Double stun coming in. Looney getting some big off heals there. Looks like he will be able to survive. He actually gets purged and interrupted. Do they have the burst damage? Just outright take him down during the silence. They do not. but Looney is burning through his mana quickly. In the meantime, though, Rezus getting attacked. He's under fire, retreats to the pillar, going to be able to completely recover. But now, we need to see Trent and Rezus actually make an offensive push here onto Looney, not allow him to drink, keep landing the mana risk, because Looney, once that Avenging Wrath is gone, I have to say, it looks like he's going to be in a lot of trouble here, Sid.
Yeah, I mean, it could be the end of the game. Gladiator's medallions are available for Trent and Lone Star. They're going to have to make a swap to Rezus, maybe an all-in with a Blessing of Protection. I could see that as an option for them, but because Rezus and Trent are switching targets so frequently, it's really difficult for Morrow to anticipate where he needs to allocate his thorns, and he wants to be maximizing the value from that. He's had it available for some time now. He's going to get his proc on that Incarnation, but gets Wind Sheared. He's not really able to maximize too much damage. Cyclone Rezus, swap over to Lone Tar, catching him out in midfield. Love that mid-game adaptation by Wildcard Gaming. Lone Tar looks unfazed, though, from the swap, making it back to the pillar and now recovering. Trent, when he gets out of this Cyclone, likely to use that Metamorphosis, playing Conflict and Strife to reduce the cooldown, to get some extra mobility, get around the map, and look for some mana rifts. Solar Beam onto Rezus, Lightning Lasso on Rezus to prevent the Tiger's Lust. Good cross there. Rezus going to use Lingering Psychic Shell, duck for cover, while Trent goes for more mana rifts. Doesn't look like Looney. Oh, he's going to use the Divine Shield to break the stun and avoid the mana rift, using his cooldowns to avoid mana rift rather than stay alive in the fight. That does open him up as a target later on, but it secures his team maybe an extra minute in the fight. Lone Tar gets stunned up. They're going after Rezus. There's the Karma. Where's the Bop? Are they going to go all in with the Bop? They do go all in. Rezus anticipates it, activates Diffuse Magic instantaneously, ports behind the pillar. Lone Tar looks to recover. Now they swap back over to Trent with the Lightning Lasso. Out of range of Rezus. He tries to use Ring of Peace, but knockbacks don't interrupt it. Able to disrupt it in those final moments. Coffin Dance, don't panic. They hold on to those Gladiator's medallions. They just need a couple more minutes of Trent's mana rifts, and they could close this game out. But Looney's sitting for a drink while Coffin Dance look to recover. Rezus, immediately realizing that, charges in and denies it. Lone Tar's in a Cyclone. He can't save the team. Trent going to save himself with that Lingering Psychic Shell. Hide around the corner. I love the bobbing and weaving from Coffin Dance, going in and out between offense and defense, splitting their targeting, really making it difficult for Wildcard Gaming to drink and also stay alive in the fight. They just need to keep it up a bit longer.
Ooh, one thing I really want to point out here is the inevitable truth for Looney. He used his Divine Shield, a 5-minute cooldown, at 5 minutes in the game. Here we are, about a minute and 10 seconds later, and he has only a minute 45 left on the Divine Shield. So it's already shaved off around 2 minutes, and that could continue to, go down and be lowered. We could see Looney with basically a 2-minute Divine Shield in this match if he gets lucky with the inevitable truth procs. Definitely curious to see when that is going to be off cooldown once again. We see Rezus in a little bit of trouble, but he's just pushing. It will be the Vitality Conduit from Lone Tar, allowing him to keep playing aggressive here onto Looney. The Divine Favor will top him off. Unfortunately, no Purge from Trent, no Purge from Lone Tar. And it looks like Looney will be able to survive, but, I mean, it's the mana rifts, which are so scary. Mara right now doing some good damage with Zeepai. The Lightning Lasso onto Trent, a full Cyclone onto Lone Tar. Trent with his Metamorphosis, with his Blur, looks like he will be able to basically self-sustain, even with the crowd control laid down. And, I mean, as this game plays out, I mean, Looney, he's been able to kind of manage his mana. There's been good pressure for both sides. I think this one is much too close to call at this point.
I love the Cyclones on Trend, trying to disrupt the mana rifts as much as possible. It's going to be a major contributing factor if Wildcard Gaming are able to pull this off. Lone Tar's dogpiling on top of Looney. They're trying to go for a kill on the Holy Paladin, punish that Divine Shield. It's 6 seconds away. Another mana rift slipping through. A Lightning Lasso over to Lone Tar. Both teams switching onto the healers, really mixing it up. But Lone Tar has the benefit of that Pack Spirit Ghost Wolf healing, whereas Looney doesn't. He's going to have to cast his heals. He can be interrupted. It will be very difficult for him to recover. He's so low. He wants to save Divine Shield to avoid a mana rift, but he might need to use it to just stay alive in the fight. They're just constantly chasing Looney straight down at this point. Rezus getting Cyclone on his cooldowns. Good Cyclones from Morrow. Root Solar Beam onto Lone Tar. No Tiger's Lust for a moment. Now sprinted out of it, but sprinted into a full Hex. Good punish by Zeepai. They're not able to crack through the Lingering Psychic Shells, though. Looney does manage to at least use his Divine Shield to avoid a mana rift and hold on to that sliver of mana that he's held on to for the better part of 3 minutes at this point. Lone Tar's mana isn't looking too good anymore, and Dampening is a double-edged sword. It could backfire on Coffin Dance.
Absolutely. Like I said, Looney's been able to maintain his mana very nicely at this point of the game. Actually going to be crossing the map right now, just consistently threatening those drinks. And now it's Rezus once again, forced to run away, and it will be the Lightning Lasso that forces out the Trinket, the Touch of Karma, and things are slowly but surely falling apart here for Coffin Dance, but they're pushing forward. Zeepai uses the Astral Shift. I mean, Coffin Dance, it looks scary for them, but they are really pressuring Wildcard Gaming here. 22% dampening. Nice Cyclone by Morrow, slowing down Rezus just a little bit, but still, Rezus extremely vulnerable in this situation. You can see he's got no defensive cooldowns whatsoever, has to be very careful, but with Lontar there, looks like he will be confident enough to push in and just stop the drinks from Looney. They have to stop the drinks from Looney. If Looney ever recovers his mana, the game is over, but it could just be over right now. Full Cyclone on Lontar, Tren into the Lightning Lasso, but the Trinket Spirit Link from Lontar is more than enough to keep him alive.
That was super clutch. Rezus used his Fort Brew to get more health so that it would split with Tren and give him a little bit of extra survivability. At this point, what do? You're deep in dampening. Lontar gets stunned up in midfield. He's being blasted down by the Balanced Druid Elemental Shaman, surviving the stun and looking to try and duck for cover, but Zeepai's right on top of him. They shred off the Gladiator Safeguard with a Purge. Lontar line of sights the Wind Shear, catches a couple heals, pulls himself back to about half health, dropping the Earth Elemental on Zeepai, trying to get just as much damage as possible here, deep into dampening to end the game. Rezus now out in midfield, gets the Vitality Conduit, along with that lingering Psychic Shell. He should begin to recover. Morrow looking to try and get in position, gets Ring of Peace away. Zeepai running for the hills at the moment. Looney has basically no mana. Zeepai just needs to avoid damage and let Morrow do the heavy work in terms of the damage, and he is doing a lot of work getting Tren's Blur out of the way 12 seconds before his Incarnation. That Incarnation with the Lightning Lasso will KO this game in about 5 seconds if they set up a good crowd control chain. Cyclone on Rezus, Solar Beam on Lontar, Lightning Lasso on Tren. That utilization of those 3 crowd controls will instantly obliterate Tren. Maybe they don't even need the crowd control this deep into dampening. They're just going for the Incarnation, trying to power through. They drop the Darkness to negate the damage, but the Solar Beam has landed. It's in the darkness. Lontar can't stay in its cover. Now Lightning Lasso on Tren, but it's into the darkness. It's not going to do any damage there. They're switching over to Morrow, stunning him up, popping the Bark Skin to try and stay alive. Looney gets stunned up again, looking for mana rest, but Morrow's very far on the back foot. Looney goes for a big Divine Favor, gets purged on it. Not able to connect as big of a heal this deep into dampening, but look at the mana. It's totally tied up. Lontar's caught again out in midfield. Zeepai and Morrow tearing in. Star Surge, Lava Burst, Star Surge. Astral Shift trades for Lontar at 20%. He drops the Earthen Wall Totem, but they can't stay inside of its defense and chase Morrow. They have to give up the defensive position of the Earthen Wall. They're all at half health. They're rotting down to the dots of Morrow and Zeepai. Those gushing wounds really sinking in. They drop down the Thorns to try and get even additional counter pressure. Rezus redirects it with Karma back on tomorrow. Looney's sitting with that Hand of Sacrifice. He has it as an option, finally trading it out. Hex Lightning Lasso, but Rezus rolls over to interrupt it. Beautiful disruption by Rezus. Lontar dogpiling on top of the team. They need as many interrupts as possible to close this game out. It's do or die. The mana is absolutely taxed on both sides at 40% dampening.
Yeah, Looney, he really doesn't have any tools left to work with after this Avenging Wrath. He needs to keep Morrow alive so they can continue this push. Rezus with Diffuse Magic just continues to push forward with Tren. Morrow just tanking him, though, in bear form, just going to be moving around, trying to avoid damage, basically allowing Zeepai to completely carry the game. Rezus forced to use the Transcendence to get behind the pillar, but he recovers. Both healers completely out of mana at this point in the game. Lontar getting Solar Beamed into a root. Very nice Tigers left there by Rezus. Will free him, but still, there's just no healing left for Lontar. The last line of defense really is going to be that Spirit Link Totem, but that might be enough for him to feel confident to continue this push on tomorrow. Getting caught in cat form into a full leg sweep, now into bear form. Morrow just trying to survive, trying to allow Thorns to basically redirect and deal all his damage. It looks like he will be okay. Looney with great healing. I mean, still, this is anyone's game.
How are these teams still alive? These healers are experts, both Looney and Lontar. Dragging this game on at 50% dampening. No mana remains for either side. Looney's imprisoned. Morrow's in trouble. There's not much defense. He's on the run. He goes for the Incarnation to try and counter pressure. Lontar ducks for cover around the corner. Morrow is being overwhelmed, but Tren really doesn't have anything. Who's going to fall first? Barkskin on 1%. Barkskin on 1%. Morrow just holding on to dear life in bear form. They're bombing in the heals to try and stabilize, but it's not enough. Lontar could still go down if Zeepai can stay on target. He's stunned up. Choosing not to trinket, sitting the stun, trying to take them down by himself, but at this point, I don't think he's going to be able to pull it off. Rezus ports back, Coffin Dance trying to recover at the pillar. Tren closes the game out by killing Zeepai, and Coffin Dance have defeated Wildcard Gaming.
Now they are up 1-0, and, you know, Windwalker, a Demon Hunter, it's not really something we see very often, Zika. What is it about that comp that we saw in that last game that was working?
Well, the Windwalker Demon Hunter, you have two melees who are going to be, hybrids, very mobile if they're facing off against casters. The good thing about it is that you're going to have that mana rift, so you can still, compete in terms of mana and maybe even win on mana. But the other thing is as well that you're going to be very mobile to, kind of duck and go back in. You can teleport behind a pillar as a Windwalker, and then you can just Flying Serpent kick, and you're going to be back on your target. Kind of similar for the Demon Hunter with all the dashes. And, they played a good game, honestly, both of these teams. A lot of close calls, a lot of good swaps onto Lontar, close calls on Looney, close calls on Morrow. I think both teams played a good game, but I think ultimately what it comes down to is I think the Versa was a little bit strong here for Coffin Dance. They were able to get a lot of extra uptime because of that Versa.
Mm-hmm. It is now Wildcard Gaming's map choice. Supatees, what do you think their move is here? Are they going to try and get him to swap off of that comp, or could they maybe try at it again to with the same strategy that they had going into game one, maybe the same comp?
Well, I like that they did Holy Paladin. I think Mistweaver would have just died outright to the Windwalker Demon Hunter, so I think the Holy Paladin was right in terms of the matchup. The Balancer and Elemental was showing potential. I think their setups could have been better, especially because there's no Gnome Racial for Lontar to get out. He needs the Tiger's Lust. So getting crowd control on Rezus with Cyclone or Hammer of Justice, Solar Beam on Lontar, and then Lightning Lasso on Tren. I feel like if they repeated this, or Lightning Lasso on Rezus, they could go on Rezus and do it the opposite way. But they have to crowd control all three players, so Tiger's Lust doesn't remove the Solar Beam, so Reverse Magic doesn't remove the Solar Beam. But they have the ability to execute crowd control on three players. If they do that, I think they can win before Dampening and before Lontar's totally out of mana. And if they just have better execution with that strategy overall, it's a way for them to win. They could do a comp change. They could bring Morrow on the Fire Mage. It would be basically the same thing effectively as the Balanced Druid, but they're going to have a bit more instant cast damage. With the I think the Combustion is a lot more threatening. But they lose out on the dots and the dampening. I feel like the Boomkin Elemental could still win this matchup. They just need to crowd control better. The timings need to be better.
All right, well, Wildcard Gaming locking in Tolvaron Arena here. Now it's Coffin Dance's comp choice here. Ven, do you think that if they do decide to go with that Windwalker DK once again, is that going to be a comp that's viable here on Tolvaron?
I think so. I mean, both the Windwalker and the Demon Hunter are exceptionally mobile in this matchup. It seems like they're kind of okay to be in the open for a long period of time. Lontar has been able to back them up quite nicely on that Restoration Shaman, with clutch Spiritling Totems, as well as, trading out that Vitality Conduit to keep them nice and aggressive in the match. And they're not afraid, if they need to run behind the pillar, kind of recover their mana. I think the one thing that's nice about Tolvaron Arena is the fact that Looney's just going to be able to create a lot more space. I think a main win condition for Coffin Dance was the fact that they were able to go after Looney a lot. They were able to get those mana rifts consistently. I think just because of the nature of Tolvaron being not only a larger map, but also having really big pillars that Looney can utilize and implement, it's going to be easier for him to actually sit down, recover his mana. So even if we see the exact same matchup, I think the map just plays into the favor of Wildcard Gaming.
All right, well, 40 seconds left for Coffin Dance to pick their composition. I'm curious, though, we've only seen one game, I guess, with Coffin Dance with their new roster on that composition here, Supatees. Do you think, though, this is something that would do well against other teams as well if they chose to run this?
The Windwalker Demon Hunter? I think it's an incredibly underrated comp. I mean, I played it a bit on the ladder, but I'm a Resto Druid. It's not as good if you run it with another healer other than a Druid, but I think it is really underrated.
You think it's better with
It's got mana rift potential. Whether or not, I think it was better than Unholy when you could Reaping Flames the Unholy pet, but now I think a lot of teams are still playing Frost Death Knight when they don't need to in the matchups where it's hard. They were playing it because they just got Reaping Flamed as Unholy. So whether or not it's actually better, I think is up for debate. I think it's still pretty sturdy overall. It's really good into the Boomkin team because they can switch targets. They don't have to just attack into Thorns. So whereas the Death Knight's not going to be able to switch targets nearly as much. It's just a bit more a flexible version of the Windwalker Death Knight. I wouldn't say that it's distinctly better or worse. But I think it is good on these big maps because you have super high mobility, whereas the Death Knight and Dampening gets stuck out in the middle and can't go anywhere. It's an X Factor comp. I think it's an underrated one. Whether or not it's actually better than Windwalker DK, I wouldn't want to say. I feel like it is still competitive, though.
What do you think about that, Ven? Do you think there's a reason we're not seeing a lot of Windwalker Demon Hunter when we compare it to Windwalker DK, or?
I'm not sure. I mean, both the comps have different strengths and weaknesses. I would say, in Holy Death Knight, it synergizes more with the goes with the Windwalker. So you obviously you have grip, where you can bring people in and you can get the double stun setups. You have stuff like Dark Simulacrum, so you can steal crowd control against casters. Things like Polymorph or Cyclone, and you could try to win in that way. I would say Windwalker DK in general is a lot more go oriented, whereas the Demon Hunter Windwalker, it's mostly just you make great individual plays. Of course, you can converge on the same target and put out a lot of burst, but it's more kind of withering the mana bar down, and that's the main strength of that Demon Hunter. Is it does have Mana Rift, and slowly but surely, if you're not able to drink, when those Mana Rifts land, you will eventually be going out of mana, and that's where that pressure starts really adding up for the Windwalker Demon Hunter. So really durable, really mobile composition that they have, a lot of consistent damage, but more so than anything else, it's that Mana Rift that makes it so deadly.
All right, well, both comps have been chosen. Wildcard Gaming, once again, going with that balance. Ellie, Looney on the Holy Paladin into Coffin Dance, who we just saw them win that first game. Zico, what do you think about this? Is this kind of what Wildcard was sort of hoping this match would be, and they wanted a rematch against this composition?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they set themselves up for the best map, so they were definitely going with some kind of wizard cleave. Maybe they were, because they took a while to lock in, maybe they just needed to go to the bathroom, or maybe they were thinking about, maybe we go Frost Mage Ellie and try to, use the map that way, or maybe we go Fire Mage Ellie, or maybe we just play Moonkin Ellie and go Versa gear instead of Gushing. I'm sure that there's going to be some kind of changes in terms of how they approach the matchup, whether that's with, how they make their gear, or that's with how they actually play the game. Maybe they swap targets a bit less and try to go for more, CC and just kill the DPS. We'll really see. I think they're gonna probably swap out some of their gear. I would guess that maybe Maro would go a bit more Versa, or he might go a bit more Versa. I feel like Zipai is gonna go full Gushing no matter what, because Zipai, he likes to do damage. So we'll see what Maro and Looney end up doing in that.
Oh, you know what's actually interesting is Looney went Divine Vision to reduce Gushing Wounds damage by 15%, and Rezus and Trend didn't play Gushing Wounds. So he just didn't have an honor talent, basically. Like, there's no value from it outside of that.
Yeah.
Wait, he can go Shadow Aura as well.
He did play Shadow Aura, but Rezus and Trend aren't playing Gushing. So this honor talent is doing nothing. He could have played Avenging Light, got more damage.
The one he has now?
It's like it's a mind game right now, kind of.
Yeah. It's the same for mages. You can go Dampen Magic and reduce Gushing by 20%, but if there's no Gushing and there's no shadow damage, then
completely worthless. Yeah.
It's a worthless talent, and you could have gone for something like Netherwind Armor maybe.
All right, well, the game is starting soon here. Wildcard Gaming versus Coffin Dance. Coffin Dance winning that first game, as we just saw. Both comps are being played again by both teams here. We'll see if Wildcard Gaming has something figured out to try and beat this Windwalker Demon Hunter comp, or is Coffin Dance going to put 2 games against Wildcard Gaming?
I feel like it was really close game 1.
It was.
I think Wildcard Gaming can definitely take this. I like the swaps to Lone Tar when it's good, and then in between that, I just want to see them get triple crowd control, drag Rezus and Trend into bad spots. If they're going Maro, then Zipai tries to Hex Lone Tar as crowd control. If they're going Zipai, then Maro uses Root Solar Beam instead. I think if they flex between who is looking for crowd control and who's focusing on damage, that they should be able to pull this matchup off.
Yeah, definitely possible here. They got a lot of tools at their disposal, lots of crowd control, lots of bursts. If they're playing Gushing Wounds, it's a lot of damage as well. But, Coffin Dance, it's like I kind of said. These guys are expert cleavers. Tren, Rezus, you also have Joe, don't forget, on this roster. It gives them a lot of options, and Lone Tar has really been able to support them remarkably well on that Restoration Shaman. It's been looking really good for the Coffin Dance, and so far they're up 1-0 against Wildcard Gaming, which I would say most people probably didn't expect. I mean, Wildcard Gaming, they've been very dominant. They're going to be looking to battle it back here on Tolvaron, but I can't help but feel if they can't win on Tolvaron with this matchup, I think Coffin Dance is going to be walking away with this one.
That swap to Lone Tar almost clutched out a kill. Tren ducks over with the reverse magic, saving Lone Tar. And yeah, Looney actually changed the talent. He's not running the Shadow Resistance or the Divine Vision. He went Avenging Light. So every Holy Light he casts, 30% of the healing is converted into damage around the target. It's a lot more pressure, especially when you're playing a damage spell cleave like the Balanced Druid and the Elemental Shaman. The pressure for Wildcard Gaming in Game 2 should be a lot higher than it was in Game 1 as a result of this decision. You can see it in the health bars. I mean, Rezus and Tren are not sitting at 100% health like they were at this point in game number 1. Lone Tar, I love the Z-Pi potentially should go out into the open field corner. Right now they're kiting between the 2 pillars, and Lone Tar can just go pillar to pillar. If they maybe play out in even the starting room or just out in the far corner, they could get Lone Tar in a good position for a swap. They're playing Bash this game instead of the instant cast Root. This makes me think Wildcard Gaming want to just kill the whole team. They don't even want to try and win with crowd control. They just want to have dots on everybody, have Looney drink, do Avenging Light damage on Holy Light, and just blow up the whole team. I think that's going to be their game plan. It could work.
Well, I feel like Root Beam wasn't getting them any value. I mean, Tren has Reverse Magic for the Root. Rezus also has Tiger's Lust, so they have to get triple cross crowd control to get utilization of that. And that big pressure you were talking about is starting to really add up. I mean, Tren and Rezus both to around 50% health. Lone Tar finally able to connect some heals. But, I mean, Wildcard Gaming, they're looking good. Just way more damage overall. I think this is a better strategy. And I think Lone Tar could really struggle with this pressure as the game goes on. But Tren and Rezus, they're going to be looking for a little bit of a split strategy here. Rezus going now after Z-Pi. Good damage. Looney sneaks away, recovers his mana. And this is something I said in the pregame is, Looney, if he can maintain his mana, I don't know if Coffin Dance is going to be able to win this one, and I think it's just going to be too difficult for Tren to push forward and actually get those mana rifts consistently. Nice Hammer of Justice coming in from Looney as well. It's going to be slowing down the team, and you can see Wildcard Gaming, they're happy to just hit anyone in this match.
Yeah, it's going to work. They've built the characters for a strategy to just destroy 3 targets at the same time. Looney is running double mana regeneration trinket, realizing he really only lost because he was out of mana. So this is a good strategy adaptation by Wildcard, and how do Coffin Dance end this game before dampening overwhelms them? They're not running Looney out of mana. They're running the mana rift, but they haven't really even been able to find one. Lone Tar is just dying to Z-Pi around the corner. He's trying to recover, but there's a Solar Beam available. He gets stunned up by Z-Pi. Morrow going for the kill. Solar Wrath after Solar Wrath. Lone Tar runs around to the other side. Looney looks like he wants to move in as well to close this game out. This map selection and strategy adaptation for Wildcard Gaming looks solid in game number 2. They stun up Tren. They're going after Lone Tar. Now switching back over to Tren with the remainder of the bash. Pressure on the Rezus as well. No karma for him. He could be susceptible to a Lightning Lasso. Morrow now being pushed back a bit. Do remember, if Morrow's running that Gushing Wounds, he doesn't have that added versatility to be durable. It could backfire on him. He's stunned up. Looney's trying to bomb in some heals. Popping that Metamorphosis. Tren really digging in here on this push, trying to get a sacrifice forced from Looney, but with Avenging Wrath, they're not going to find it. And now the Holy Lights with Avenging Wrath increasing their healing are going to do a lot of damage to both Rezus and Tren if they're hitting the same target. They're both currently hitting Z-Pi, so these Holy Lights from Looney are going to actually hurt them. They're switching off the Holy Light cast, but Rezus gets caught out in midfield. He pre-lingerings, he pre-Fort Bruise, he ports back after the stun. They swap over to Lone Tar for a moment. If Wildcard Gaming set up drinks and keep up this pressure, I'm worried for Coffin Dance.
Yeah, me too. I mean, they're just rotting down. They haven't been able to recover. Things are looking great here for Wildcard Gaming. Rezus low trades out that Diffuse Magic, but now no karma. Diffuse Magic's going to be on cooldown. He gets Wind Sheared. Lone Tar struggling. He's been able to maintain his mana. They have been holding on in this match, now actually recovering as well. I mean, Coffin Dance definitely not out of it yet, but those scary situations are when Wildcard Gaming, they really start snowballing, and Coffin Dance is going to have to pull back, give Lone Tar a moment to breathe in the matchup, because this is like one of the worst things that can happen when Tren or Rezus runs away and the other one stays in the open. That's when we see pressure points all over the place for Wildcard Gaming. They're able to capitalize on any of the melee that are overextended, so I really want to see Coffin Dance kind of work as a unit here. I just feel like there's going to be this constant threat of whatever melee is left in the open being taken down.
They're trying to stay on Morrow, but Z-Pi is tearing in here. Big Stormkeeper Earthen Wall soaks the hit by Lontar. Lontar trying to reposition. Gets caught out in midfield. They purge off the Ghost, so if they're going for the kill, Reverse Magic stabilizes Lontar. They also remove all the dots as well. Perfectly timed Reverse Magic by Tren. Zeepai Lightning Lasso's up. Tren to try and keep him on the back foot. Lontar slowly but surely recovering. It will be difficult for Lontar to drink. Morrow with that Starfall around the corner. And Lontar's just dead. He's just outright dead. Morrow absolutely snipes him from left field. The full Gushing Wounds, Avenging Light, Balanced Druid, Elemental Shaman, Holy Paladin is absolutely owning game number 2.
All right, Wildcard Gaming tying it up against Coffin Dance. Now they're 1-1. We saw Lontar go down there super quickly at the end. Zico, what exactly was their different approach here going into the game? How were they able to secure that victory?
The map. I mean, right there at the end, they definitely got the kill because of the map, I would say. I mean, it was a little bit lucky to have exactly enough damage there with that Star Surge, but definitely wouldn't even have been possible, right, if it wasn't for the fact that Lontar needed to cross all the way to the other side behind that pillar, and that just gives, basically the map makes it so people have to stay in the open longer. So whenever you're in a situation where you get swapped to and you're forced to run away, getting to safety is going to take you a lot longer time, and that's always going to be in favor of the casters. So I think they did pretty similar strategy actually to game number 1. They were going, for the DPS, and then when Lontar comes out, they hudged him and tried to swap to him. And this time it worked. It worked for them. Game number 1 was super close, so I like it.
Yeah, game number 1 was super close. We did see Wildcard Gaming go down, though. Now they've tied it up 1-1 here, Supatees. Do you think, though, that they've kind of figured out this Windwalker Demon Hunter composition? Like, is this a reliable strategy that they can carry out the rest of the series with?
I think a smaller map, it'll be a lot harder to avoid being mana rifted. And then, like Zico just said, it's a lot easier for Lontar to be able to just be on a pillar for most of the game. I don't think it would be worth... There's a talent Cleansing Waters for Shaman to remove dots on Chain Heal and Healing Rain. I just don't think you're going to get value out of it. I was trying to think if there's something he could run to try and counter the dots, because when we saw the Elemental Shaman Shadow Priest in North America, running a Vision of Perfection Mistweaver was a really good counter. Running a Mistweaver in general could be an option, so they could do double Monk Demon Hunter instead of Lontar on the Shaman if they really want to get some extra value. There's still some counters though, because they can purge the Renewing Mist, but they do have the option to switch him.
I feel like Lontar is gonna get untapped if he goes on that Monk.
On a small map?
Destroyed.
Especially on a small map. On a big map, he can kind of just stay back and channel Renewing Mist and take no risks. I could see it work there, but on a small map, I feel like I'm not gonna have the best time.
All right, well, Coffin Dance on their composition choice. We'll see soon here what they lock in. If they go with that Demon Hunter Windwalker again, Zico, what can they do? They're now on hook point. How do you think this comp will do on this map here? We were talking about how a smaller comp might be a little bit more difficult for Wildcard. How can we expect this game to play out?
A lot more aggression if Wildcard doesn't just do a classic Wildcard here, where they just flip the map on its head. I could see something like, Blizzo being tagged in on his Warriors, Zeepai coming in on a Frost DK.
Nope.
Nope. They're just gonna go for the same thing. And honestly, I think it's pretty smart. You play same composition here, and you have a pretty good chance of winning. It's a swing match as well, and if you're able to win it, you take it to Asha Mains later on, and kind of secure the series there. If you're Wildcard for Coffin Dance, they're gonna have less time to get back to the pillar. They're going to be able to go in and out much more and have setups going much quicker. No healer will be able to drink here, which I think should favor Lontar, but I don't think it's going to come to that. I think it's going to come down to either Lontar dying in like a Hammer of Justice Lightning Lasso, or perhaps Tren dying with like a Cyclone on Lontar or Solar Beam or something like that.
All right, Wildcard locking in balance. Ellie again. Coffin Dance responding with the Windwalker Demon Hunter once again. Ellie, what do you think? We've got the same here compositions here. Coffin Dance is picking that same comp that we saw. It's 1-1. I feel like it's anyone's game here at this point.
Picks, right? I mean, Coffin Dance, it's going to be to their advantage on hook point. Much more difficult for Looney to sneak away, get out of combat, drink, recover his mana. Much more difficult on a small map like Hook Point. And that's kind of what we saw in the Grand Arena, and that's when slowly but surely Coffin Dance did develop a lead. That being said, Wildcard Gaming, I think their strategy is just a lot better in general. I mean, they don't need to go for setups, just do damage, survive as much as you can. When Lontar peeks into the open, if Rezus and Tren overextend, then poke Lontar, force him back to the pillar, force him away from the fight, don't allow him to be in range of Wind Shear and Grounding Totem and Purges, and if you do that, you hurt the offense of Coffin Dance, and not only that, Lontar opens himself up as kind of a vulnerability in the match, and I think Wildcard Gaming, they're going to be looking to exploit that. I think getting away from the root beam and going for the bash and just all-out damage is a much better strategy for Wildcard Gaming. They're going to find more reliable wins, but I mean, Coffin Dance on the small map, theoretically, this map should give them the edge, but I'm just not sure. I have to see it play out with Wildcard Gaming's new strategy.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this before with Wildcard Gaming. You know, they're put in those high pressure situations where they encounter something that maybe they didn't immediately have an answer to, but we see it with this team where they sort of figure something out. We see it progress throughout the series, and now Coffin Dance, to me, it seems like they're going to have a difficult time here. Super T is catching up.
I mean, the other thing, too, is they could wear Gushing Wounds, Rezus and Tren. That's where the mind game comes in. Like, if Looney doesn't have Divine Vision to reduce the damage of Gushing Wounds, and Rezus and Tren both put that on, I mean, it could flip in their favor. I'm actually a bit worried with them defensively, though, if they don't run the verse. I'm not sure if they'll survive a stun if they're not running versatility with the full conflict. It feels like they almost have to. So Looney shouldn't really be in a mind game situation. He should just play Avenging Light every game. And then if they do play Gushing, they're probably just going to die. The pressure seems really high right now from this composition, in particular with the Holy Paladin. But it is a good map. Looney won't be able to drink. It'll be easier for Tren to get over to land mana rifts. Lontar won't have to cross out into center field nearly as much. So this should play out better for them overall. 10 seconds away. Coffin Dance bringing in a unique composition. The Windwalker Demon Hunter. They have Joe on the bench as well, but I think it's unlikely we see a Warrior into these Elemental Shaman teams. I feel like they're just going to get absolutely smacked. So Joe's not going to be much help for the team here in this series. It's going to be up to Rezus, Tren, and Lontar.
Yeah, and let's see if they can pull it off. Rezus and Tren going to be moving forward. I do expect this game, I mean, of course it can end at any moment, but it feels like dampening is kind of required if both teams are making good trades at this point in the game. Tren and Rezus, they're just going to be going after basically the closest wizard. So Maro and Zipai, whatever one is closest in the match, they're going to attack them to basically reduce the threat that they can really go after Lontar and not overextend themselves in the match. Tren lands 1 mana rifts, and it's these mana rifts that are going to be really scary, but another big setup here on the Lontar. Rezus backing him up with a few Vivifies of his own, keep him alive during that stun lock, and Lontar already trading out Ascendance, trying to recover through the initial burst of Wildcard Gaming.
I mean, they're still not. Ascendance is up. The biggest team healing cooldown probably in the game. He can't even get his team back to full health. He's fully hexed now. Lingering Psychic Shell from both Rezus and Tren to trade throughout that hex. And they manage to stay alive. They go for the Touch of Death. They're trying to push Zipai over, but Looney's in a solid spot right now where he can just bomb and heals. I mean, Zipai's not even getting tickled by that Touch of Death. Rezus now getting stunned up. Zipai and Maro moving in. Incarnation up. They could swap to Lontar. They need to purge off that Ghost Wolf that he's in. They're just attacking into it. He should be able to recover through that. Now they're going to switch their damage back over onto Rezus. Tren jumping in, looking for a stun mana rift, but I'm not even sure the mana rifts will work. Looney's build with the double mana trinket, the Fangs of Intertwined Essence, and the Forbidden Obsidian Claw. I feel like as long as he's using these claws on the monk images, because there's so many ways to remove it, he's going to guarantee that mana regeneration and be able to keep this game going for some time. And I mean, we're not even 2 minutes in, and Lontar's already burned through Ascendance, Healing Tide Totem. His team is never getting back to full health. I'm worried for Coffin Dance.
So am I at this point. There's just been such good setups coming in from Wildcard Gaming. Tren is getting low as well. Could just get taken down, but it's going to be the Lingering Psychic Shell, that defensive tank trinket to keep him alive. And I mean, Rezus and Tren both getting a lot of value out of that trinket in this matchup. Maro really looking to make an offensive push here. But he does, of course, going to have that big Incarn up in around 18 seconds. Tren caught into a Hammer of Justice. Do they have the damage? Is that a line of sight? Unfortunately, not going to be able to really capitalize on too much damage here. Looney with the Divine Favor tops everyone off, and Wildcard Gaming does recover, but you can start seeing the rot pressure. I mean, Lontar, from the beginning of this game to right now, I mean, as long as it's been going on, he has been struggling to keep his team alive. Maro and Zeepai have been putting out a ton of damage.
Yeah, Maro's dropped the defensive trinket,
That's it.
and that's just it. He's going to get KO'd. The Spirit Link doesn't come out in time. Wildcard Gaming close out the small map even faster than the large map. It might not even be the case that the large map is better for them. It might just be any map is good.
It seems like to me, Wildcard Gaming, they found the strategy. Just do damage, get your stuns out, and the pressure just seems really overwhelming. I mean, from Coffin Dance, they are absolutely struggling to, be out in the open, stay on one target as long as they need to start really developing momentum. And there's such a big problem where you have to swap between the Moonkin and the Elemental Shaman because they're both very durable, and they also have extremely low cooldowns, defensive cooldowns they can rotate through. So, if you go after the Moonkin and you get his Barkskin, and then you're forced to go after the Elemental Shaman to get Astral Shift, and then you have to go back to the Boomkin, he has Barkskin back up, and it's just really hard to develop momentum in the matchup.
Especially without Maledict. I had to squeeze it in, you know it. Well, it kind of reminds me of that final, I think that final that Wildcard had versus Enlight that went all 7 games. I feel like that one is a great example of why Wildcard are so annoying. Like, okay, you beat our Mage Warrior. All right, now you have to beat our Melee Cleave. All right, now you have to beat our Mage Ellie. Now you have to beat this. And like, if one thing works, good luck. Like, they're so good at so many different types of comps, melee cleaves, melee caster, double caster, different versions of double caster as well. And they're also, individually, I think they're some of the best players on their class, for the most part. Everyone on that roster is like, I would say top 2 on their class for sure. And then you can make some arguments, but I think that combined with the deep pool roster, combined with the fact that they're very smart with picking, they know that, okay, they're going for a small map, maybe we should lock in this other comp that we have, which is good into everything they have, and it's going to be favored on the small maps. Just things like that just makes them. That's why they're winning so many tournaments,
No.
Oh, I like the vest.
I'm wearing the same thing all day. I've been wearing the same thing.
He's
all
been
day.
wearing it the whole time.
Chad said something nice about me? Wow, I might have to read it more now. Oh, you were muted for that whole thing. Damn.
Wow.
Are you still muted or are you good?
Was that on
Okay.
you or?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back here. My name is Rich W. Campbell, and today we got some exciting games here for you all. And Rookie, what do you think here in game number 3? What are we going to see?
I think we're going to see the same matchup, to be honest, and it will be. It's going to be Dalaran Sewers, another small map, Coffin Dance. It seems like this is their best option. It kind of makes sense. I mean, Rezus and Tren, they have a lot of defensive cooldowns they can rotate through. They've got Mana Rift, they've got great mobility, which is what you want against, Zeepai and Maro on those 2 casters. So Coffin Dance, the composition makes sense. I don't really think that, bringing in a warrior coming in from Joe would really, give them a better chance in this matchup. I just think they have to play it better. They have to look out for those one-shots, but it just seems like at this point, Wildcard Gaming kind of has their number, and they have the winning comp/strategy.
Yep, they have their number and they have them on speed dial. Dalaran Sewers here, Sid. What do you think about this map? Is it going to be enough here for Coffin Dance to play their song?
I mean, I might have to break out their song. I'm going to have to play their song for them, I think. What are their options? I mean, you chase Looney around, you're going to die to Gushing Wound, Ellie Boomkin 100%.
This would actually be... I was gonna say this would be the one time I want you to play your flute. I'm gonna be honest.
You want me to
Oh,
play
can
it?
you? Do
Do
you
you
know, how
know
to
the
play
song?
The song?
Let me get the sheet music.
Oh goodness gracious.
Alright.
Okay, well you do
I'm
that.
gonna
I
have to
mean,
alter it a bit, you know, DMCA. I'm gonna alter it.
Yeah.
So-
Remix. DJ Sydney.
I
Right.
love that. That's actually the one time I got a big thumbs up there. Very nicely done. All right, for Coffin Dance, their time is now. If they can't do it, they're going to be going down to the lower bracket. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think they're going to be going up against ABC. Is that true?
Does it flip if they go down? Loser at
Isn't it
C29.
ABC versus
I'm gonna look at the
Method
bracket.
No,
Black?
they don't fight ABC.
It's
They fight Method Black if they lose.
Yeah.
Okay,
They
well,
fight
yeah.
the winner of ABC and Method Black, no?
Okay, well, no. They are just going to be playing up against the Method Black, I believe. So definitely not the spot to be in, going down to the lower bracket, fighting for your life against Method Black. So they got to really make a final stand here.
It's going to be a tough day for Coffin Dance. You have to face Wildcard and then face Method Black if you lose immediately afterwards. Solar Beam on the whole team. Hammer of Justice on Tren. Rezus pops that lingering Psychic Shell, stabilizing while his team was locked down in stuns. And it looks like they're trying to go after Zeepai and Morrow at the same time. They're going to be splitting their damage up and now bouncing back both onto Zeepai. Trying to really make it difficult for Looney to anticipate who the target is going to be. But Lontar's out in the middle. He's getting blasted out here. He needs to get back to cover at the boxes. Morrow laying in, and I mean, this is making me want to play my Boomkin, get full gushing wounds up and just kill everybody. That sounds pretty fun.
Well, I've got a Frost Mage with 8 gushing wounds, so we might have to make that happen. Lontar caught into a stun. Do they have the damage to push him over? Looks like Rezus and Trent going to be following it up, trying to, force Morrow to play a little bit defensive here. But Looney just keeping him alive, keeping him nice and healthy. And already Lontar is forced to trade out that Ascendant to keep his team alive. That's a big healing cooldown from Lontar, and it just really shows how much damage Wildcard Gaming is able to put out. The gushing wounds are really paying off for them here.
All right, this is looking solid. I'm wondering if this is the comp they're just going to run for the entirety. I mean, maybe Rogue Mage. I feel like a good Rogue Mage is going to give it a run for its money, so moving forward, I'll be excited to see that. It's been kind of a battle of who's the king of the wizards at the moment with all the meta shifts. Zeepai is on the back foot, though. They've worked through his Astral Shift. They've worked through his Divine Shield, but now a Lightning Lasso. They are able to disrupt it with the Imprison. Tren ducks for cover at the waterfall. Lontar at the boxes. Rez is pushing forward to get pressure for his team. Switching over to Morrow, not wanting to line of sight downstairs, but they're going to have to chase. And that means Lontar's baited it back out into midfield, and they've been gunning for him time and time again. As soon as Lontar gets out here, they target him as well. Tren gets stunned up, dispelled, but now Lontar is bashed out of Ghost Wolf. 2 Star Surges, Lightning Bolts straight to the face. He's going to activate that Astral Shift, duck for cover downstairs, try and take advantage of the positioning that Wildcard Gaming were utilizing, but now he's fully cycloned, and Wildcard Gaming just know how to play out every map. Lontar's having such a tough time keeping his team out of crowd control, keeping them on target without dying himself. I mean, he's consistently below half health. Zeepai is just chasing him, pinning him at the boxes, swapping back to Rezus. Rezus portals away. Now Tren's left out in midfield. They could go after him. This is looking very difficult for Coffin Dance. They have to win 2 games to stay in this upper bracket and avoid Method Black in the lower side.
Yeah, and this is the easy game for them. If they end up winning this game, we're going to Ashermane's Fall. So that is not going to be easy for the Coffin Dance. But Rezus, it does look like he is trying to make an offensive push here with the Storm, Earth, and Fire. But you can see Wildcard Gaming, they're all just full health. They're actually making a push onto Lontar. Preemptive Vitality Conduit. Looks like he will be able to survive. He actually grounded the Hammer of Justice, I believe. So really nicely done there by Lontar. But Rezus just down to 5% health. What is this damage? Morrow is killing everybody. Lontar is dead once again. He's trying to get behind the pillar. Rezu struggling to keep him alive, and this is not the type of pressure you would expect Coffin Dance to be under in this matchup. They barely hold on, but Sid, they just cannot make an offensive push.
Lontar got interrupted on a heal. If there's a stun, he's going to die. There's a stun. They interrupt the Lightning Lasso instantly. Beautiful interrupt by Rezus. That was easily going to be Lontar's life, but they didn't stop the stun there. He's ducking and go. So if they're pinned at the boxes, Zeepai on the left, Morrow on the right, bullying Coffin Dance, just standing right on top of them. Lontar has somehow managed to pull his team back from the brink, though. but he's just constantly being targeted. Morrow is just chasing him at the boxes. Zeepai dragging Trent out of position. Double stun lock. Is Morrow going to get a solo kill on Lontar? Rezus backs him up with a Ring of Peace, bouncing Morrow away. Now they swap back over to Trent. He has to hide around the boxes. Looney's got Avenging Wrath. They can't afford to attack into that Avenging Light from the Holy Paladin for too long. It's shredding them at the moment. Lontar wrapping around the bottom side, trying to avoid crowd control. He's got the earthen wall down on the boxes. He should begin to recover. Thorns is active. They have to switch targets. They go after Morrow. Looney's mana is maintaining at a healthy margin. Trent gets stunned up around the corner. Vitality Conduit to stabilize him through that lightning last. And now they just switch over to Rezus, bouncing around to all 3 targets of Coffin Dance. And Wildcard Gaming are slapping right now. This comp looks really good from them.
I mean, it absolutely does. And Wildcard Gaming is always the team to pull off something like this. Rezus trades out the Touch of Karma once again. Sacrifice from Looney will deny the Touch of Death damage. Let's see if Rezus can hang out there. We will get knocked away. Nice Thunderstorm there by Zeepai, creating a lot of distance, forcing Rezus behind the pillar. And now they go after Tren. Tren's getting low. Lontar all of a sudden has to play catch-up on both Rezus and Tren, but finds the big heals they're looking for. And this is the problem. Both Zeepai and Morrow are perfectly happy just running away. If they go after Morrow, he's going to run away. If they go after Zeepai, he's going to run away. And we've seen great pressure for Morrow and Zeepai. Whatever one isn't being targeted is able to get out tons of damage. Set up onto Lontar occasionally in the matchup as well. And I mean, we are just entering dampening now. I can only imagine that things are going to get very, very difficult here for Lontar. Tren, Rezus, Lontar, they're all just going to be running around the pillar. They do not want to deal with this Incarnation. If they can stabilize now, then make an offensive push after Incarnation, that's going to be their moment. But still, I mean, this damage is just overwhelming from Wildcard Gaming.
Oh, Rezus bashed up in midfield. Lontar moving in, catching that Vitality Conduit, grounding Totem to stop some damage as well. Recovering with the Ascendance. He's stabilized, but Mana Rift is just not an option. Looney can drink. He's running Mana Trinkets. The Mana Rift is absolutely doing nothing to Looney's mana bar. They're not building any advantage in that regard. They're going to need an overwhelming amount of burst damage on Morrow. Deep into Dampening is the only way I really see them winning this fight. They're not deep enough yet to find that opportunity, and they've had quite a few close calls already before it. Now at 9% dampening. Mar and Zeepai moving out into midfield. They Solar Beam Lontar on cast. Rezus gets stunned up. He has cooldowns to trade. He's going to activate that Lingering Psychic Shell. Tren lands a Mana Rift, but it doesn't really matter. Looney's build is just absolutely countering the composition that Coffin Dance have decided to lead with. After he put that Avenging Light talent in, they are just decimating them with nothing but pure damage at the moment. Rezus and Tren are just trading cooldowns to stay in the fight and try and hit anyone, but even though while hitting them, they're not moving any health bars. They're trying to run around the corner. Looney's rolling up. He gets it paralyzed. Zeepai rolls in to try and stop it. He gets imprisoned, and Lontar actually got a drink. That was clutch crowd control by Coffin Dance to get Lontar back into the fight.
Ooh, and they will be fine. Coffin Dance does manage to hold on. They're going to stabilize. 15% dampening at this point. Looney's mana is just absolutely full. And with the way they're playing, I don't expect any pressure on Looney's mana. They just have not been able to get the mana rifts. They cannot make an offensive push. Lontar actually almost gets taken down by Zeepai and his Lightning Lasso. Lontar recovers, but Coffin Dance forced to the pillar once again. I mean, this is absolutely best case scenario for Wildcard Gaming. They can actually just keep this cleave at the pillar, running away. And I mean, eventually, as long as they don't throw it away, I mean, Morrow getting a little bit in trouble there, but Frenzied Regeneration going to be enough. Lontar once again caught into the bash. Big damage coming in from Wildcard Gaming. Darkness is traded out. And look at them. They're all just hiding, Sid. What are they going to be able to do?
Lingering Psychic Shell being shredded. There's earthquakes on the boxes. Zeepai's just dropping every single bit of damage to get a triple kill on match point against Coffin Dance. They've got Spirit Link Totem. That doesn't do anything if you're all at the same health. They're just all dying. Lontar's trying to bomb in some chain heals. Looney's even dropping BM Consecrations on the box, just maxing out their damage to the limit. And if they stay stacked up, that Holy Light with Avenging Light hits 3 targets. I don't think that's recoverable. They need to push them off the box. But Lontar gets interrupted. Zeepai's chasing him down for the kill. Sky Fury Totem is down. Huge pressure. Looney's moving in. He's got Avenging Wrath. They could just stand right on top of Looney or Lontar and close this game out. One more interrupt on a heal. They're dropping their Earthquakes, praying for a stun proc. Tren jumps over, landing the double stun, going for the Mana Rift, but Looney's still basically maxed on mana. Tren stunned out in midfield. Lontar stunned up as well. Tren ducks over for the reverse magic. Chain Heels bombing in from Lone Tar at 24% damage. That drink that he got earlier is the only reason that they're even still in the game. Praying on a miracle here on match point. Lightning Lasso damage. Lone Tar on the run and Ghost Wolf once again. But when he runs away from Zeepai, he runs into Morrow. He's either getting Lava Bursted or Star Surged. He needs to deal with the Wind Shear from Zeepai. Solar Beam comes up in 14 seconds. The damage is starting to subside a bit here for Wildcard Gaming as Incarnation is no longer active, and Coffin Dance finally get a moment to breathe.
Yeah, that moment to breathe is definitely going to savor that moment as well. Lone Tar, is he sitting down for a drink? There's no way he's ever going to drink in this matchup. And quite frankly, I don't think he's going to need the mana. I don't think it'll ever come down to that in this matchup for the Restoration Shaman. Rezus now pushing forward, and there have been a few close calls. I mean, we're talking about Coffin Dance basically being completely dominated in this matchup so far, but they can still do it. However, I mean, Looney, he's got 2 Blessing of Protections, he's got Sacrifice, basically his entire defensive arsenal to rotate through at this point. I mean, I feel like Coffin Dance, they need a little bit of a miracle here if they want to win this game on Dalaran Sewers, but maybe go after Looney. I mean, Looney, he could be in some trouble if they get the Divine Shield. It will be the Avenging Wrath. That will empower his healing enough to survive. And now, I mean, Morrow and Zeepai, they're creating opportunities here on the Rezus. Tren, can he continue this push? Really is the question. Lone Tar in the midfield with his 2 cleavers as they want to make kind of a final stand here. I mean, they've been forced at the pillar for so long. They need to try to get some damage rolling, but it just doesn't seem like they're able to. Look at Wildcard Gaming. They're all perfectly healthy. Lone Tar getting bashed up with a beautiful preemptive Astral Shift should be enough for him to survive. But that is as well his Ascendant. So he's traded out basically all his major defensive cooldowns, and his entire team is dying.
Chain Heels bombing in. Zeepai finally being pressured, but he's back to full health instantly. Lightning Lasso over on a Tren. Earthen Wall's defense has faded. Morrow moves in for the kill. He gets bounced away. They have to drop the Darkness. Is there a Thunderstorm for Zeepai? Doesn't look like it, unfortunately. There, stunned up by Rezus. They're in panic mode at the moment to try and get into this fight. Morrow looks for a Cyclone. Lone Tar wind shears it. If he gets Cyclone, Trent is easily going to die here. Thunderstorm bouncing them off the side out into the open. Morrow sitting right on top of them, but he may regret it. He is taking quite a bit of damage. Hex going to break and be dispelled by Zeepai. Lone Tar's team in trouble. He's got Spirit Link Totem. He can bank that out to try and go for a push, but he gets stunned up. How is he not going to trinket this? There's no reverse magic. He's managed to sit through it. Triple stun by Tren. Nice stall out by him on that Demon Hunter. Finally, signs of life on Zeepai. He's at about half health. They get Divine Shield from Looney. If they can get that Astral Shift, they could potentially pull off a victory. They're so far on the back foot, though. No mana remains to drop that Earthen Wall Totem. They're pinned at the pillar. They need to try and pull themselves back up, but there's an Earthquake on the Earthen Wall. If that procs a stun on Lone Tar and interrupts the Chain Heal, it could be it. Trent tries to jump out into midfield to go for a pressure, but absolutely gets pushed back to the pillar instantaneously by Zeepai. Rezus making a trade here. Trent's still trying to get damage out, but is that the right move? He's stunned up again out in midfield. Judgment's in from Looney. Big damage from the whole team of Wildcard Gaming. Lingering Psychic Shell to hold on for a moment later, but a full Hammer of Justice, reverse magic, putting that Hammer of Justice back over onto Looney. They have damage on Morrow, but Thorns is up. They can't afford to attack into it. They switch back to Zeepai. Are they going to be able to kill Zeepai? He Astral Shifts at 10%. They drop the Spirit Link Totem to go, go, go. It's do or die. They're either all going to be taken out here on match point, or Zeepai is going to go down. Rezus trinkets to go for the kill. Zeepai running for the hills in Ghost Wolf. Are they going to be able to pull it off? They Cyclone Trent at low health. Zeepai gets bounced off the side potentially by Rezus. They have such little health to make this work with. Can they do it? Avenging Wrath is up. I don't think so. Looney's going to be bombing in some big heals in a moment. It's going to do a ton of damage. They imprison the Avenging Wrath. Are they actually going to be able to do it? Lone Tar at 10%. Are they actually going to be able to do it? Lone Tar falls first to the Earth Shock. Rezus and Trent still playing it out here to the bitter end. So close and yet so far. Wildcard Gaming pull it off 3-1.
That is going to send Coffin Dance down to the lower bracket. And man, that just really shows Wildcard Gaming, once that pressure is put on them, once they're faced with a problem that they have to figure out, they really show up, figure something out, Zigo, and they show why they deserve to be here.